Hi, I'm Stephanie, and we're on day 15 of the journey through Mark. And as we round the final turn here with our last couple days in this study, things are really starting to heat up in our story. The reading today tells us of the details of Jesus' final hours here on earth. The humiliation, the rejection, the public shaming that he endured from the crowd, the last interactions and conversations that he had with other people, and also the agony of the cross. There's a lot in this portion. And if I can just recommend that you go really, really slowly and read all of Mark 15, it'd be really helpful for you to soak in the meaning and each portion and how meaningful it is. So as you read these verses, though, you'll notice that there are some characters that stand out in these verses. So I'm going to highlight three specific ones. The first is Pilate. Pilate caves to pressure in this situation in Mark 15. And he says to the crowd, he says, "What do you want me to do with this King of the Jews?" And the whole crowd cries out and says, "Crucify him." And Pilate in that moment gives in, and he chooses to go with the crowd's call and to release Barabbas, the murderer. The second ones are the soldiers who mock Jesus. They hit him, they push him, they spit on him. They even gather a bunch of thorns and create a crown and put it on Jesus' head and push it deep into his head. Then they even lead the way to the crucifixion spot. The third group are the two people that are hanging on each side of Jesus as Jesus is being crucified. And even in their own pain and humiliation, it says that they find a way to ridicule Jesus and fling insults on him. So the final hours of Jesus' life, there are various people who interact with Jesus in cruel and brutal and unkind ways without much faith. But then in verse 37, Jesus takes his final breath, and in that moment, the veil is torn in the temple. And after all that drama of the day, when the veil tears, what does that mean? Well, it's God's dramatic way of saying that all people for all time are now able to go to his heart in a way that is wide open. Worshippers before then were restricted to God. They were restricted to access him and to worship him freely. But because Jesus died on the cross, the gates to God's presence are now open, and were open in that moment when the veil was torn. So all of those people who gathered around the cross, Pilate, the soldiers, Barabbas, the two others that hung on the crosses, they all were welcomed back and had access to God in that moment when the veil was torn. This is a beautiful, dramatic representation of God's expansive love for us. No matter what we've done, no matter what we've said, no matter if we've mocked God, that he loves us and that the way to him now and to talk to him is wide open.